Accepting grains from war-torn Ukraine doesn't make Nigeria a failed state, Tinubu government replies Peter Obi. Odikwa EGWO. As you all know that Nigeria Tinubu's acceptance of grains from war-torn Ukraine means that Nigeria has not only accepted being a failed country but also done, have or know how and what to do. There is no solution to this present food crisis and $1 going to 5,000 naira. Well, listen to the video and remember to drop your comments in the comment section.
The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has reacted to the intervention of the government of Ukraine after they donated 25,000 tons of wheat as emergency food assistance to 1.3 million vulnerable Nigerians in the northeastern region of the country. Peter Obi, in a series of tweets on X, described the development as disheartening. His tweet reads in part, "Let me begin by sincerely appreciating the war-torn nation of Ukraine for their generous donation of tons of grains to Nigeria, thereby aiding our current fight against nationwide hunger. It is disheartening that our once economically confident nation, blessed with vast arable land and abundant natural resources, now relies on a war-torn Ukraine for food assistance. This national disgrace stems from years of leadership failure, necessitating urgent reflection and a reordering of our national priorities and resource management and allocation. Despite the conflict, Ukraine feeds itself and exports agricultural products worth over $25 billion, which is about the same value as our crude oil export earnings. And it serves as a strategic global food supplier, even providing aid to a peaceful yet unproductive Nigeria. To overcome this embarrassment, we must aggressively reorder our priorities by investing resources in productive sectors like agriculture. Addressing insecurity is crucial for farmers to return to their fields, enabling a productive manufacturing sector and supporting small businesses." I mean, I love this type of criticism, Rufai, because it's not just about criticizing, it's about also proffering solution. I mean, I think that, Peter Obi did write in that tweet that he wrote, because he did compare our arable land as well as Ukraine, saying that Ukraine is using up 60% of their arable land for food production and they're supplying Nigeria with food. What's going on here?
And also, when you look at Ukraine, there's a plan. I think some literature say 50 to about 80 million hectares of arable land in this country. Many years ago, we used to use that land so well that we used to provide about 1/3 of the tomato in the West African sub-region, about 65, 66, thereabout. As at the 70s, I think it was 73 or 74, we had one of the biggest cocoa windfall where we did over 400,000 metric tons of cocoa. And we've pretty much hovered around that 400,000 from 50 years ago till now. Also, we had a lot of groundnut pyramids. We're good in millet. We're good in other things like that. And still, funny enough, we're doing very well as regards to tubers. But the grains have not been good enough for us. So when you see criticism like that, it's well on point.
Yes. Because
it's the squandering of our riches. And makes it 41 years now, Yeka, when we did that documentary, Squandering of Our Riches, NT and the BBC. And when you look at it critically, it's because we've not been able to plant. So take, for instance, last year, the president promised 150,000 hectares will be cultivated across 36 states of the country. If that was done, then to a large extent, we should be able to get some leeway. I'm sure, okay, probably if we say they can't go across 36 states. I know states like Lagos, does not have a lot of land, very small. I mean, in square meters. States like Ogun has a lot of land, about 15,000, 16,000 square kilometers of land. States like Niger can do even multiple. But insecurity is stopping us. So at first, how quickly can we stop the insecurity problem? Secondly, also incentivize farmers to be able to go back to the farm and ensure that they cultivate. For having a storage system, because another problem about cultivation is post-harvest losses. So having a storage system. And also embracing technology and value addition in agricultural value chain. So take, for instance, the Netherlands does very well in agriculture, but they have smaller land compared to Nigeria. But they've been able to do well and harness their resources. So how can we, if my memory serves me right, Nigeria should be bigger than Ukraine in terms of land. I think Ukraine is about 600,000 square kilometers of land or thereabout, if my memory serves me right. but they can still churn out grain, and I think they're about the 6th or 7th largest producer of grain. And I'm sure that's because of the war. Yeah. If not because of the war, they should be doing way better than that in numbers. So it's about looking at these holistic touch points I've talked about,
right,
and investing massively in them.
Great solutions, Rufai. Dr. Abati.
Well, the key point here is that Mr. Obi is right, and it's all about leadership.
Yes.
Ukraine is one of the major exporters of agricultural products in the world, and it didn't start today. There's something they call sunflower meal. There is wheat, barley, corn, and some seeds. You will recall that as part of the crisis in this war, this Russia-Ukraine war, you know, Russia wanted to block Ukraine from exporting food. But to the main point made by Mr. Peter Obi, that Ukraine is at war, and yet is providing food aid to a country like Nigeria, where the whole of the arable land in northern Nigeria is more than all the arable land in Ukraine. That's why I say it's about leadership. It's about productivity, which Mr. Peter Obi always talks about. But what Mr. Peter Obi did not add is that it looks like in Nigeria too, we're also at war. It's just that it's a different kind of war. Boko Haram, all these bandits and insurgents, they've driven Nigerian farmers away from their farmlands. Isn't that a war situation?
It is a war
if
situation.
Our farmers cannot go to the farms. So, well, part of it that he should add is that Nigerian leaders should provide such leadership that will make our farmlands safe for our farmers, so that we won't have to be getting food aid. So that Nigeria too, which is vast arable land that Mr. Peter Obi pointed to, can also be a country that will be in a position to give food aid to other countries. This, in my view, is a point.
Absolutely. Well, in the meantime, though,